Let me start by saying if you don't know what the word nuance means, then I'm going to need you to close this video, go Google it, look at some examples, compare and configure however you need to do to make sure that you understand what that word means, and then come back to this video. Got it? Great. For the rest of you, what's up? This is not the first video that I expected to do. Not at all. I have been running my mouth for the past 4 years about tech and how that needs to be regulated as a whole. Y'all know I've become a bit of an AI ethicist. I'm not for or against AI. I'm against the people behind it. But something happened within the past few weeks here in Minneapolis that has really given me pause. I want to state that no one should have lost their lives by protesting against this systemic regime of Nazis. Some of y'all are mistakenly calling them Gestapo. Like, no, these are Klan members. These are Proud Boys. These are your neighbors. These are your teachers. These are your co-workers. These are people who voted for this administration. Keith Porter was killed by an off-duty ICE agent on New Year's Eve. He's still getting overshadowed. People are constantly mentioning Alex, people are constantly mentioning Renee, but no one is mentioning Keith Porter. So I wanted to give a shout out to him and his family, and may he rest in power. For real. Because again, y'all don't give a shit about Black people. And let's just get into it. To throw in that I am not from Minnesota. I have spent the majority of my life here. Moved here in '96 when I was a kid. Stayed until my sophomore year of high school in 2003, moved back to Indianapolis, and then came back for college in 2009, stayed for college, went to grad school here, and yeah, I've been back here now. This year marks 17 years, which is fucking nuts to say out loud. So when I say there is a nuance of living in Minnesota and being Black in Minnesota, like I'm dead ass serious about that. When it comes to being Black here, like, first off, it's not a huge community of Black people here. And when you throw in queerness into that lens, it gets even smaller, especially if you want your spaces to look like you. It's going to be even smaller. There's a lot of coonery here that I don't particularly entertain. But that's a whole nother video that I can get into if y'all want me to. But there's nuances here. You know, we have great healthcare. There's tax-free groceries, tax-free clothes, beautiful, beautiful landscapes, beautiful parks, beautiful lakes, all of that. So if you find the right people and the right vibes, you can have a really nice time here. The winter sucks, yeah, but summer and the spring and the fall that we do have is beautiful. Like, there's a lot to love about Minnesota. What I don't love is that weird ass Minnesota nice, which is basically just icy Nordic racism. And I don't like that so many people of color, especially so many Black people, fall into that and happily become tokens in white supremacy. It's really starting to come to a head at this point. Way to put it, other than this being white supremacy's manifestation. This is a reckoning for white people at this moment. Rest in peace to Renee Good, to Alex Pretty, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. But what's interesting to me is that on Friday, January 23rd, Minnesota stopped. And when I mean stopped, I mean damn near every business that I have frequented, every institution that I have worked for, pretty much, people that I've worked with, people that I've worked for, paused all operations that day. They either protested, they either held up signs somewhere or donated, whatever the case may be. A lot of it was grandstanding. Just gonna get to the point. A lot of it was grandstanding because it's interesting to me that when a white woman dies, that's when everyone's like, oh my God, what's happening is crazy. Like, these people are brutal. How are they? They're treating people like animals. When ICE has been here for months, mutuals that I have in nightlife and in the art scene have been roughed up by ICE. Legal citizens. And even if they weren't legal citizens, they should not be treated the way that they were being treated. So when this white woman passes, and again, I know how some of you bitches like to tussle. This is not that. When a white woman passes, the whole world stops. But this did not happen for Jamar Clark. This did not happen for Philando Castile. This did not happen for George Floyd. And numerous other Black people murdered at the hands of white supremacy in Minnesota. And so I find it interesting that a lot of these institutions that have actively caused harm to Black and brown people over decades have found a way to absolve themselves and come to a reckoning and a come to Jesus moment on this past Friday, and just paused when one institution in particular, the saloon, has actively, there's hundreds of people complaining, including myself, about how they have treated Black people. I was threatened by their CFO, and then they turn around and shut down because all of a sudden you care about community when that harm has not been addressed yet. Not only do you shut down, but then you open up the next day and throw a leather party, again, downtown Minneapolis, hosted by a Black DJ as this white man was murdered blocks away from you. It's crazy. Like, it was for nothing. It was for nothing. There was no statement about it. There was no condolences to his family. There was no, we need to combat more injustice. It was simply just grandstanding for absolutely no fucking reason other than just to say you did something. And they're not the only place like this, but they're the ones who I am directing this ire to right now. But again, that's for another video, another time. If you want me to get into it, I can. But just one example of many. And all of this is because Minnesota is the home of the liberal, the white moderate that Martin Luther King, who they love to prop up oh so much. This is who he was talking about. There are people in Minnesota who love to be Minnesota nice. And that means basically, if you're an outsider, we're going to keep you at arm's length. We'll be nice. We'll say hello, maybe. You know, we'll be polite, but we don't want you in our circles. We don't want you in our spaces. We already have one. We don't need you. It's very much that energy here in Minnesota. And in addition to that, there are a lot of Black and brown people who play into that tokenism and will take the scraps that these nice white folks are giving and treat that as gospel. Like, well, you know, they've always treated me so kind and so proper, and, you know, I've just never had a problem. Meanwhile, they're calling everybody else niggers, sticks, and mocking them for speaking out against injustice. But since you're one of the good ones, you're choosing to stay silent. Since you're one of the good ones, you get upset when people like me and several other activists who call out the bullshit, you look at us like we're the problems, like we're biting the hand that feeds. And I say all of this to say it was nothing but grandstanding because there was no real plan. This was state-sanctioned protest. State-sanctioned. That means that there was police guiding people where to be. Target Center had something where, I don't know if you bought tickets or if you registered for tickets, but you signed up for a political rally at the fucking Target Center, who's aiding and abetting with ICE as we speak. And y'all should be boycotting anyway because of how they treated Black people. But y'all are going to the Target Center, signing up, giving your information to these people. Police officers are handing out donuts and coffee to white people protesting. Meanwhile, I still have friends that in 2020, when we were out protesting, we were out trying to get people what they needed, have been gassed so fucking bad that they're permanently disabled on top of COVID. Yet the whole world stops because a white person was killed. And because the administration does not give a fuck about what happens or whatever it is that y'all thought y'all were doing, they turned around at 9 a.m. the next morning and killed a white man with his conceal and carry. A white man who is a RN, a registered nurse at a VA, a Veterans Affairs hospital. But y'all thought protesting and having your signs and going to after parties and shit, and yeah, we really showed them. You really thought that that was something, when in reality it didn't mean shit. It was a great start, and I'm really honestly I'm trying to say this without sounding like very bitter about shit, but it's hard not to, especially when I have put my body on the line in 2016, in 2015 doing protests, in 2020 doing protests during COVID. My friends have put their bodies on the line. Some people I know have been out protesting since they were in high school in 2014 to try and get some sort of justice, but we were all looked at as villains. We were all looked at as causing problems. We were looked at as violent. Y'all are wondering why everything is so peaceful now, because the people who were out agitating during those protests that I talked about, they're ICE workers now. They're ICE workers now. How do I know this? Because I am friends with people who used to run in white supremacist circles and who have told me their playbook hand by hand. These are people of color who were in these spaces being used, being exploited, who got out and told me exactly what happens, exactly who runs things, exactly who is in charge of what. I have seen things with my own eyes. So I'm not just sitting here running my mouth talking crazy, pulling shit out of my ass. I also don't want to sit here and be like, woe is me, da 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 da, because that's not what this is about. This is about y'all not seeing the humanity in Black and brown people. This is about y'all not seeing issues with anything until it is at your doorstep, until it looks like someone like you. And there's a whole fucking psychology theory and tons of papers on exactly why this is. And I know for a fact that a lot of white people don't care or don't feel empathy until they see someone that looks like them. White people are known. This is literally in research papers, and I know y'all are very anti-critical thinking and anti-intellectualism, but there are research papers that show that white people have literally more empathy and more compassion for animals than they do for Black and brown people. One of my colleagues, my former boss, lovely woman, communications professional, was talking about how one of her colleagues was just so stunned and literally said, they're killing white people now. So what does that mean? When Black people, Black women, Black queer people have told y'all from jump decades ago, if they're coming for us, they're going to come for you next. But again, y'all would rather consume Black people's culture and identity and slang and music than actually give a damn. It's that old saying, they want our rhythm but not our blues. And I'm not going to sit here and try and wax poetic about why that is and all that stuff. We know why it is. We know why it is. But again, to go back to the whole nuance thing, like, I'm very proud that if this country needed a message being sent everywhere, nationally, worldwide, that Minneapolis is the place that continues to do it. That does make me proud, because again, I am an organizer at best these days, at my best, I should say. And I connect people, and I love caring about my community, and I love caring about people as a whole. That's what I do. But it also really pisses me off that this is what it took. The fact that the very next day that these protests happen, where people are like, yeah, we sure showed them, a man gets murdered. I could sit here and complain about how all of this shit is affecting, my income, because I work in nightlife and I was working with a lot of small businesses who are immigrant owned. doing consulting work and all of that stuff, and a lot of that's just stopped right now. And like, yeah, that's sad. Money comes and goes. I'm not too pressed about that. But what I am pressed about is that it took y'all this fucking long to be like, hey, now wait a minute. Something's not right. And I really just want to know, like, what's the issue? What's the disdain for Black people? Because you're upset. You were upset when we were out here protesting. We were up here, like, again, making all of this noise and trying to get people to understand for the past decades. But Minnesota, I'm talking specifically about y'all in 2020. Highly upset, and called us everything but children of God. Now, a lot of you are upset because Black people are hands off right now. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? We've told you about all of the racism that's going on in this country. We've told you about what this administration, both administrations, honestly, because this does not absolve Democrats either. We've told y'all about the systemic issues that Black people have been facing. We told y'all about Sudan. We told y'all about Gaza. We've even sounded the alarm on this fucking serial killer that is going after Black people in Houston, Texas over the last, 9 months or something like that? And y'all have not said a word. We talk about the missing Black trans women, the murdered Black trans women, the murdered Black children, the trafficked Indigenous children. We have been saying all of this for years, and y'all have been silent. Not so much as a like on a fucking post, asking for information or asking things to be shared, but now all of a sudden, hey, you Negro, why aren't you putting your body on the line anymore? They're killing people that look like me. Don't you care?
I'm supposed to feel sorry for that bitch. I don't.
Girl, please. And again, this is not what this channel was particularly going to be about. I just needed to get this off my chest, and I know it was very rambly and disorganized, but there's a lot that y'all are not seeing outside of Minnesota. Because again, everything is censored now. TikTok is now a government-funded app, essentially. So you can't find any real information about what's going on there now. X is questionable as always. Instagram is also questionable as always. So I'm just giving y'all like the real nitty-gritty of like what I'm seeing. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because I know the way I've been running my mouth over the past decade, I'm on somebody's CIA watch list. It is what it is. But all jokes aside, this channel was not monetized anyway, so therefore I'm pretty much going to say whatever it is that I want. Now, if you want to help me, there's some links below on how you can do that, because like I said, it is tough out here, and I do really want to continue to do what I love, and I do want to continue to bring more content to y'all as well, so that's just something to think about. I'm very disappointed, but I'm also very hopeful and ecstatic about like what's to come. Because I do think a change is going to come, not to be on my Sam Cooke-ish, but I do think that not only is this a reckoning for the US, but this is a reckoning for white people. Y'all really gotta like see like, damn, you're seeing firsthand like, no, the empire does not give a fuck about you. And it never has. If you do not uphold white supremacy, you're useless. You're useless. So now is not the time to be grandstanding and fence sitting. All of that shit that y'all was pretending to read in 2020, y'all need to actually pick up those books. Y'all need to actually start having conversations with your neighbors, with other white people to understand. Stop asking us what we can do. You use Google and ChatGPT for everything else. Have them create a list for you. But it's time to put on the big boy draws and get out there and start getting active, because this is only going to get worse. And one thing that Black people, that brown people, that the global majority know better than the rest of y'all is that genuine community is what you really need at a time like this to actually get through and survive. Stop living this individualistic mindset and get your shit together. Until next time, Ariesfirebomb, peace.